1972, I attended St. James's Primary School in Billinge, near Wigan in Lancashire. One day, my teacher, Mr. Rochester, came to me and said, "Paul, your parents will pick you up from school today to take you to the hospital. It's about your stutter." I have a stutter? Yes, he said. You know, when you sometimes can't get your words out, they get a bit stuck. Oh, are they going to stick tubes down my throat then to fix it? He looked at me, tapped 2 fingers to the side of his head and said, "I think it's more psychological than that." Psychological? There's something wrong inside my head? I was 10 years of age. That conversation with Mr. Rochester started a 7-year journey of my parents trying to find a cure to fix their son and his stutter. I saw doctors, psychologists, speech therapists. I went to hypnotherapy, acupuncture. I even tried a device, a contraption called the Edinburgh Masker that made a loud noise in my ears when I spoke. None of them worked for me. At the start of every new consultation, I was asked a series of questions. "Paul, why do you think you stutter? Do you stutter sometimes more than others? Is everything okay at home?" No one ever asked me if I was just okay. And at 10 years of age, I thought I was okay. But at 14, on holiday in Aberystwyth, in Wales, I took an overdose. Luckily, I didn't do any damage, but I now had voices in my head, voices telling me there was something wrong with me, but I didn't know what it was. Ironically, the very people that had been trying to help me had sent me into a spiral of self-doubt. As the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, was overheard to say on a recent trip to Liverpool, therapy, it's not right for everyone. At 17, I made a life-changing decision. I decided to stop all medical treatment trying to fix me and my stutter. I decided I would not be held back by my stutter. I knew I wanted something more in my life, but I didn't know what. I knew I was at the start of a journey, but I didn't know where I was going. But I knew I wanted to be so much more than my stutter. In the same year, I started a 4-year apprenticeship program working in a factory. Now, working in a factory when you have a stutter was at times, it was brutal. I quickly had to learn to change the way I thought about myself. But I wanted to change the way others thought about me. I had a stutter. So what? And that's why I want a stuttering revolution. I want a stuttering revolution to change the way people who stutter think about themselves, and for those who don't, to change the way you think about us. I want to stop focusing on the way we speak. Stop telling us we need to be fixed. Stop saying that we're limited. And definitely stop saying we need to be fluent to be successful. We don't. As Emily Blunt, the English-born American actress, said, "My stutter misrepresents me." It's time for people who stutter to believe with certainty they can create, live, and love the life they really want if they focus on what they're great at. Focus on what they love to do and what they're passionate about, and focus on setting life goals of the things they really want to achieve. A revolution in their thinking will build their confidence in the power of who they can become. And as their confidence grows, the size and importance of their stutter, it will diminish. It will get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It will become a part of them. Not all of them. In 1637, Descartes, the French philosopher, mathematician and scientist, started a revolution in thinking when he said, "I think, therefore I am." I want to start a stuttering revolution in thinking. I think, therefore I am. So much more than my stutter. It sounds so simple. A stuttering revolution where you don't focus on the way that you speak. A stuttering revolution where you don't focus on your stutter. Do you recognize any of these people? Each of them is famous for acting or sport or music or politics or business. Each of them has more wealth than most of us can ever imagine. One of them is arguably the most powerful leader in the world. Each of them has had a stutter, or like me, still stutters today. So how have they become so successful? Let me see whether you agree with me some of the things that they might have in common. Number one, they found something they're good at, a talent, and they've developed that talent so they're great at it. Number two, they found a job they love to do and they're passionate about, and they've applied that talent to that job. And three, they've set themselves some big, audacious life goals, and they've achieved them, and that's most probably why you know them. But I think there's something else they have in common. I think they've had a life-changing thought. A thought that's changed their life. They have found a way, their own way, to become so much more than their stutter. Have you ever had a life-changing thought? A thought that's changed your life? I have. Let me tell you a story. It's Brighton. It's 2006. I'm at a big hotel overlooking the sea. I'm at a conference for our top 300 leaders in our science, nuclear, and technology business. You know the sort of conference I mean. Big stage, round tables, as much free bottled water as you can drink. Big speakers, motivational music, and yes, 2 days of business presentations. My boss, the chief exec, said, "Paul, I want you to do the leadership speech on day 2 before my closing remarks." 2 weeks before the event, he asked to see me and my script. He read it through silently, and then from the start out loud. The sound team whisper the names of the audience through the speakers to sound like the leaves in the enchanted wood. Paul walks on stage in short trousers, a wok in his left hand, a frying pan in his right hand, and 2 saucepans tied with string around his neck. It says here, "Your saucepan man from the Magic Faraway Tree," a book you read when you were... Paul, this is a corporate event. You're making me very nervous. Bob, I said. We want our leaders to use their imagination and connect with their feelings. Anyway, what do you mean you're nervous? I'm the one with the stutter. I stood a saucepan man on stage in front of 300 expectant, and if I'm honest, rather puzzled faces. I asked them a question. Do you remember a time as a child when you heard a story? It might have been from a film or a book or even on TV, when you wanted to become the hero, the adventurer, the explorer. Do you remember a time when you were a child and you first had those stirrings, those feelings of wanting to lead others and do good things? As I asked the audience more questions and shared stories of real-life heroes, I felt I had them in the palm of my hand. As I moved towards the end of my presentation, I felt a wall of energy and emotion hitting me palpably on stage as I challenged each of them to be the best leaders they could be, to hold themselves and each other to a higher set of values, to inspire their teams and 12,000 people to build a business we could all be proud of. And then I stopped. I paused. The room erupted. I got a standing ovation that seemed to go on forever. People were high-fiving, backslapping. They were hugging. Some even had tears in their eyes. Now, this was a British science, nuclear, and technology audience. They don't normally do that. I watched events unfold as though they were in slow motion. You see, I was remembering a time at 17 when I had dreamt of inspiring people from stage. At 17, I knew I wanted to go somewhere, but I didn't know where I was going. At 17, I had days when I could not speak. And today, I'd given the speech of my life. I knew in that moment that my stutter was no longer holding me back. And maybe it never had. But there was something else. It was a thought that came from nowhere. It was a tingling sensation I was feeling everywhere, a life-changing thought. A thought that changed my life. The only thing that was holding me back, the only thing that was holding me back was me. So why is that thought, the only thing that's holding me back is me, is ourselves, so important for people who stutter? Well, logically, intellectually, emotionally, physically, you are so much more than your stutter. So let's use the so much more to create and live and love the life you really want. Let's use the so much more of you to overcome the challenges you will face because of the way we speak. I listen to people who stutter talking on social media about the stigma, the abuse, the discrimination they face on a daily basis. One of the biggest challenges is getting a job. They hear, "You don't sound too bright. Have you got learning difficulties? You want to work with customers? I don't think so. Promotion? You sound a bit nervous for the bigger job. Leadership? You couldn't possibly talk in front of hundreds of people. Employ you? You can't even say your own name." I feel their pain. I have felt their pain, the constant being ridiculed, being laughed at. Some are even physically abused because of the way we speak. If you could see their faces on social media, it could be your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, a co-worker, your next door neighbor. And I know for some of you, it's you. Joe Biden, the President of the United States of America, controversially said, stuttering is the only handicap that people still think it's okay to laugh at. Not in 2023. That's why I want a stuttering revolution. I want people who don't stutter to stop and to start to give us the time and the space to finish what we have to say. For people who don't stutter to start to be curious about who we are beyond the way we speak. What can we do? Who can we become? Especially if you're an employer. And for people who don't stutter, to start to accept this is just the way we speak. And for those of you who do stutter, this is your opportunity to create and live and love the life you really want. Believe with certainty. You stutter, it's part of you. It's not all of you. Believe with certainty. The only thing that's holding you back is you. Believe with certainty. You can become anything you set your mind to. You stutter. So what? And together, we can enlighten, energize, and empower an estimated 70 million adults around the world, and God knows how many children who stutter, to be the very best people they can be. Now that's a revolution worth fighting for. Are you with me?